Welcome back to the Flying with the Flock podcast, the best place to get all of your Eagles and other NFL related news. I'm your host, Matt, and boy, does it feel good to be back. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the month of June, which means that we're roughly 3 weeks to a month away from actual NFL training camps beginning. You will see the two teams that are playing in the Hall of Fame game, which I do not know off the top of my head. I think it's like the Panthers and somebody else. Um, you will see them start up their camps in late June, and the rest follow in early July. So we're right there, ladies and gentlemen. We're inching our way closer and closer to the NFL season, at least preseason, because that gives me a lot more to talk about, especially when it comes to how this Eagles team is going to be put together. But till we get to then, we have quite a few topics to talk about from this past week. Uh, a lot of A.J. Brown stuff to talk about, so just bear with me. I know it's not my favorite topic to talk about either, but we still need to get it out there and still need to talk about his trade. On top of that, all the other trades and signings that have happened across the NFL around June 1st. All the OTA and mandatory minicamp notes I have from your Eagles. And we'll see what other kind of fun we can get into at the end of this episode. But before we jump into it, if y'all could leave a like and subscribe down below, that would be much appreciated. Your support never goes unnoticed. I believe we're at, 14 subscribers right now. So I want to thank you guys for all of the support that y'all do for me here on the channel. And it really keeps me going, especially last episode. I know it's been a couple weeks, but episode 74, which was last episode, is our highest viewed episode at 42 views and 4 likes, so I want to thank you guys for that as well. So now that I got all that pleasantries and all the thank yous out of the way, let's jump right into some of the news that unfolded this past, what day of the week was it? It was June 1st, which was last Monday, today being Wednesday, June 10th. So last week, on June 1st, obviously it was the day that some NFL teams could trade away some of their players due to cap scenarios. Am I an expert in it? No, that's why I'm not really going to get into the nitty gritty of all the cap implications that it might have. But what I can tell you is the kind of football implications it might have on divisions and overall teams. So let's jump right into it. To me, the bigger of the two major trades that happened on June 1st was the Myles Garrett trade to the Rams. This trade has kind of been building up over the course of a year now. Obviously, last offseason, there's a lot of rumors that Garrett could hold out for a new contract or to be traded somewhere else to a contender. He did sign a big, top tier deal. I forget how much it was, but it was record setting. I think it was like over like 4 or 5 years, over $100 million guaranteed. I think it was closer to $120 million guaranteed, which was the biggest deal by a non-quarterback ever until I think maybe Max Crosby broke it. No, I think Garrett broke Crosby's. But anyway, I digress. Myles Garrett signed this massive deal, so we all thought that he was kind of going to be stuck to the Browns for the rest of his career. But over this past coaching cycle, the rumor in Cleveland was that Myles Garrett was pretty upset that his defensive coordinator did not win the head coaching job. And obviously the Browns went on to hire Todd Monken, and so he felt kind of cheated by that. So to get back at his team, he was not showing up to mandatory minicamp or OTAs. He kind of told them that he was going to be skipping all of that. And in order to keep him happy and pay him some respects, they decided to see what kind of deal they could get out of him. And they got a haul for him, in my opinion. They got a good deal for Myles Garrett. That being, the Browns got young star edge rusher Jared Verse, which is what surprised me the most out of this entire deal. And and I'll talk about that in a little bit, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2028 second-round pick, and a conditional 2029 third-round pick. It's crazy to me that we're almost to the point where teams are going to start trading 2030 picks, but oh boy, I'll be out of college at that point and I'm going to feel old. Anyway, so the Browns got a hole. They got a young edge rusher that they could start to build around, and they got quite a few picks that they could use to bring in some high-end talent to help rebuild, especially that offensive line, which is going to be abysmal with offensive guard or left guard, I think, Joel Bitonio retiring. I think it was yesterday. So they're going to have to rework that entire offensive line the next offseason because there's not really any pieces or time left this offseason to do so. The Rams clearly have brought in veteran pieces across the defense, whether it's bringing in both the corners from Kansas City or bringing in Myles Garrett. Yes, you could argue that the Ty Simpson pick was not a win-now pick, and they're trying to plan out for the future. You could argue that 100%, but all the trades and other moves have kind of signaled to everybody around the NFL that the Rams are in win-now mode. They know Matthew Stafford has maybe one, maybe at best two good years left of football, and after that, he'll probably set off into the sunset. So they have to bring in some defensive pieces that can hold up their end of the bargain. It's clear that the Rams, I already talked about that, are building to win now, and they will worry about the future later with their picks and such. I mean, the Rams have made 2 first-round picks in the past 10 years, I feel like. It was Jared Goff back in 2016, and then it was Ty Simpson in this past draft in 2026. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to move off of Matthew Stafford in a couple years. Obviously, we're not going to have to worry about that right now. NFL teams are going to have to game plan around this explosive offense as long as Puka Nacua doesn't go back to rehab. Devontae Adams can stay healthy. Matthew Stafford and his back injuries do not creep back in. And Kyren Williams continues to put up solid numbers at the running back position. As long as they can focus on that and their offensive line only continues to get better, they have to hope for that as well. Their defense will be able to do a lot of damage, but I think I'd rather had traded a guy like Young or Fisk to send to the Browns to keep Verse alongside of Myles Garrett and learning under Myles Garrett. There's been rumors of Aaron Donald coming back out of retirement, and for anybody who knows how good Aaron Donald is, I could see that happening, but I could see it happening realistically, but I don't think it will happen. Ultimately, I think Donald is too far into his retirement for him to kind of come back out of it. Then again, I did say the same thing about Phillip Rivers, and we saw him come back and actually take some snaps at quarterback this at the end of this past regular season. So it's going to be interesting to see whether Aaron Donald decides to come out maybe midway through the season and just take a couple of snaps to get another ring if they can. The person that I feel bad for the most is everybody in that division outside of maybe Seattle. The 49ers, that offensive line continues to deal with injuries year in, year out. So I can kind of guarantee you that there's going to be more injuries on that offensive line for the 49ers. And same thing for the Rams too, but we're focusing on teams outside of the Rams and how it impacts them. I feel bad for the Cardinals, who just don't have a good team, and I see why Jacoby Brissett is now holding out for more money. So if Carson Beck gets thrown out there against the Rams, God bless that kid's soul, but I think Sid from Ice Age is going to get rocked when he's dropping back. overall, this is going to create an arms race, I feel like, from some of the top contenders in the NFL to go out and get these pristine edge rushers. Like a Max Crosby is still out there, and the Eagles have been rumored to possibly be looking to get him and shopping a first-round pick, a Nolan Smith or something along the lines. The only thing I will say is watch out for the Rams and injuries. I'm not sure whether their offensive line is going to be able to hold up, and that was their biggest issue, was their offensive line this past season. That's kind of why they failed to win against Seattle, both in one of the last weeks of the regular season and in the NFC Championship game. So just wait and see how healthy the Rams are before you buy stock, but I could 100% see this team just willing their way to the Super Bowl based off of some of the pieces that they've brought in. Okay, so I'll come back to the A.J. Brown trade. I just want to talk briefly about the Giants' wide receiver room situation. Malik Nabers is clearly out, I think, for probably until October. He had to undergo more surgery to clean up his ACL injury, it was ACL injury, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing more and more towards training camp that it's unlikely that we'll see him over the first couple of weeks in New York. So they had to bring in some people to play wide receiver for the Giants, and so they brought in Odell Beckham Jr., which was the big headline name, is the Giants bringing back Odell Beckham Jr. They brought in Juju Smith-Schuster, and they brought in Braxton Berrios. So they basically brought in the TikTok duo, and they brought in White Lightning in a bottle to play wide receiver. I am certainly concerned with the Giants wide receiver situation. I need to see how people like Odell Beckham, who hasn't played since 2024, I believe, I want to see how he kind of plays out and how he looks running routes. And then maybe I'll be like, okay, the Giants can probably put something together until Malik Nabers gets back. But they just haven't inspired me that much with signings like this. Going after big names who are formerly a part of the franchise, I wouldn't be shocked if we see a couple of these guys get injured after maybe like a month and a half into the NFL season, because that's kind of what they've done over their career. But, Giants bring in TikTok boys to play wide receiver for them. And that was kind of one of three major stories over June 1st was the Giants bringing in a big name like Odell Beckham back to their franchise. And yes, it'll be good that they can wheel him out and have him be the nostalgia bait for all the fans to buy in, and then they go 6-11, 7-10. But I digress. So I guess this is an okay move by the Giants. But what I really wanted to jump into, and this is probably what's going to eat up most of our runtime here, is going to be the A.J. Brown trade, which unfolded on June 1st around 4 p.m. because that was the time that could open up and the Eagles would not eat as much dead cap. So the long-awaited A.J. Brown trade finally went through. We've been waiting all off-season, and a funny thing about it is that after it happened, a lot of leaks happened on why this thing was going through. But let's get into the trade before we get into some of the leaks, because some of the stories I'm not even going to talk about because it's not exactly totally family friendly, so I'm not going to even talk about them. But we're going to talk about a couple of things that A.J. Brown was doing. So the Patriots received A.J. Brown, and they sent the Eagles a 2028 first-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick. So the Eagles basically got what they wanted. They kind of wanted a third-round pick as well instead of a fifth-round pick, but I personally would probably settle for a fifth-round pick based off of AJ's age at 29 years old and with some of the injuries, hamstring that constantly nags him, and the knee injuries that he has over the past couple of seasons. I feel like this is a good compensation for the Eagles. This is after the Patriots reportedly did not value Brown as more than a third-round pick. but seemingly they kind of bent under the pressure of tampering charges that the Eagles were willing to put down on them. So to avoid these tampering charges, which clearly would have came on between Mike Vrabel and A.J. Brown having conversations during the season, and then Mike Vrabel having this affair with Diana Russini, the Patriots just wanted to avoid re-upping this major headache for them, and so they gave the Eagles what they wanted. Other teams were interested in A.J. Brown during this, but they were concerned with the wide receiver's history of knee injuries. And once a wide receiver hits 30 years old, once you have a history of knee injuries, your career kind of goes downhill pretty quickly. That's why I kind of give A.J. Brown maybe another 1 or 2 years of solid wide receiver play where he can go out there and dominate. Whereas after that, I feel like it's going to be majorly downhill for his performance on the field. So after he hits like the age of 32, I don't think that he's going to have the legs no more to hold up. So there were several things that kind of leaked out, and we're going to talk about all of them at once, and then we'll dissect them a little bit, depending on how major they are. So unfortunately, this is another tale of kind of like a wide receiver who was somewhat in the good graces of the fans that they were of the team that they were leaving, and they absolutely destroyed any form of a goodbye with comments and that reveal that he's been leaking pieces to the media to quote unquote encourage and push the team to do better. Had reportedly quit on the team after week 4 of this past season, which is why he kept Devontae Smith from catching the game-winning Hail Mary in the following week during the week 5 loss against the Denver Broncos. He never fully committed to his routes during this past season. Believes that he was the best Eagles player ever. And last but certainly not least, had never fully bought into the Eagles' offense, which Jalen Hurts was frustrated with, and that forced the Eagles to change different aspects of the offense that they had. So let's get into this. Yes, he absolutely admitted on a talk show that he encouraged and pushed the team by leaking information and locker room stuff to the media. So he reportedly leaked all that information this past season, maybe 2 seasons ago, maybe even during the 2024 season. And to me, if I'm a Patriots player, and now I know this guy's a rat, I don't know how I feel. Because now I'm losing power in the locker room because A.J. Brown is buddy-buddy with Mike Vrabel, and he'll do anything that A.J. Brown asks him to. And A.J. Brown, if I step out of line in A.J. Brown's eyes, he will just go to the media and create like a firestorm about me. So I want to see how this kind of plays out for the Patriots. What happens if Drake May starts out slow this regular season? What happens when they start playing some actually good teams and not teams that are picking within the top 10 of the NFL draft? And so, to me, it's going to be interesting whether A.J. Brown continues this stunt and whether we see a firestorm of the media trying to talk about stuff happening in New England. He had reportedly quit on his team after week 4, 100%. You can see that in his play, especially the later it got in the season, the more that he cared less. During the 49ers game, he dropped 3 crucial passes that could have set the Eagles up in the red zone, or he could have went for a touchdown. But he dropped them, all 3. So it was clear that he was not working with stuff like the Jugs machine, or was not working with Jalen Hurts during practices that much anymore to work on their timing. And obviously the Devontae Smith preventing a Hail Mary, or no, keeping Devontae Smith from catching a Hail Mary is more speculative, but you can kind of see it in a way that he grabs Smitty by like the, face guard and the visor. He never fully committed to any of his routes, especially during that Los Angeles Chargers game. He was kind of just like jogging, and which is why Jalen Hurts could never fully time up his balls, and defenders were able to kind of come in and pick him off a lot. So it was ultimately A.J. Brown's inability to try to run routes that kind of hurts his play during that game. And not to say that, I would say maybe 65 to 70% of that is on Jalen Hurts. But again, there's still that 30 to 35% where it's like, yeah, A.J. Brown did not help Jalen Hurts whatsoever during that game. And his comment of being the best Eagles player ever was insane to me. To me, he's not even the best Eagles wide receiver ever. He is the second best, only behind Terrell Owens, but he's not even in. He might be barely in the top 10. I mean, in my top 4, I have Reggie White, Brian Dawkins, Jason Kelce, and then Jalen Hurts. Those are my top 4 Eagles players all time. And A.J. Brown's not even sniffing it. I think, to me, Nick Foles is number 5. Actually, no, T.O. is number 5. Nick Foles is number 6. And A.J. Brown might be number 10. Devontae Smith is in the top 10, mind you. And we're going to do this next episode. I'm going to be ranking my top Eagles players all times. Surprise, surprise. I figured what time better than the present to cover this kind of topic. But, yes, A.J. Brown, nowhere close to the best Eagles player, let alone Eagles wide receiver in history. I don't think it's really close. And so it's kind of clear to me that the Eagles' offenses have been stagnant because they've had to placate to A.J. Brown. Have to do what he likes. They have to run out of shotgun so he can get the look that he wants. And so that's why I feel like he would have never bought into any form of a Sean Mannion system, even though it heavily features wide receivers as the pass targets. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a more dominant and more happy Hurts this upcoming season. Him and Devontae Smith have always kind of had a good connection. I do feel like A.J. Brown kind of was a little bit jealous of the connection that Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith had coming out of college. And that's the reason why whenever Devontae Smith had an amazing game, let's say against the Vikings this past regular season in like week 6 or week 7, we kind of saw A.J. Brown tweet like, they using me, but they're not like using me in the right way or something like that. Some bullshit he put out there. And so hopefully we see that kind of connection between Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith flourish. Whereas A.J. Brown has to rework his chemistry with Drake May. It's not going to be like week 1. They're going to be perfect. There are going to be quite a few times, especially in clutch moments, where A.J. Brown might be running more Jalen Hurts speed, whereas Drake May is trying to run more Stephon speed or Stephon Diggs speed. So overall, I do feel like we will see a little bit of growing pains for both Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, but I think Jalen Hurts will get over it faster than A.J. Brown will. And if A.J. Brown I hope he has a good season up in New England. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to hate on the guy, but he clearly is a locker room cancer, and if I'm a New England Patriots fan or a New England Patriots player, it's clear to me that this guy is coming in. He might be talented, but he's in the latter stages of his career, has a crap ton of injuries, especially in his legs, which is not a great place to be. And last if not least, we spent way too much to get him. We spent a first-round pick to get him. And so, yes, it might be a 2028 first-round pick. That doesn't matter. Let's say Drake May has the same trajectory as Mac Jones, right? where Mac Jones looks amazing and then he starts a steady decline down. It would not surprise me if that first round pick could be top 10, maybe top 15. And if the Eagles just come off of a Super Bowl win, let's say in like 2 years, which could happen depending on how well this offense performs, it wouldn't be a major shock to me if the Patriots regret trading for A.J. Brown in another 3 or 4 years. Well, that's just my take. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about the entire situation, some of the rumored stories between A.J. Brown and Hassan Reddick. Let me, if you're a New England Patriots fan, I think we have a couple of those that listen here. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys think that this is a fair price and whether A.J. Brown will actually help the team more than he will hurt the team. So let me know down in the comments what you all think. And obviously there are a couple arrests that I could talk about. Let's see. Rashid Rice getting arrested and going to jail for 30 days for breaking his probation and smoking weed. And he's going to miss mandatory minicamp, so he's going to be fined up the wazoo. And he missed OTAs, so that means Xavier Worthy's really going to get work at wide receiver number 1 with Patrick Mahomes. You have Josh Jacobs turning himself in on alleged domestic battery charges and a slew of other charges that I'm not even going to get into. But that could significantly hamper the Green Bay Packers offseason as well. And that could hurt Jordan Love's progression as a quarterback. He doesn't have a solid back to rely on anymore. I mean, I don't even know who's behind Josh Jacobs. In my defense, I don't know who's their RB2. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers try to sort this out, especially as a respectful organization as they are. And Micah Parsons, sticking with Green Bay, could be out until October, according to Micah himself. And so, again, if the Packers can't get a couple of wins early on without Micah, it's going to be a rough road in that division to move forward and try to get into the playoffs. Lastly, before we move on to Eagles, OTAs, and mini camp notes that I have, the Madden cover athlete was revealed, obviously, last year of Saquon Barkley. This year, it is none other than Caleb Williams, the Chicago Bears quarterback. It looks pretty good. They do a lot of homages to different Chicago sports media, like Michael Jordan dunking over the city skyline, or Caleb Williams' classic Iceman celebration after, I think it was, he beat the Packers in the wild card round. So, overall, Madden, the game looks horrible, but the covers look alright. That's kind of why I would buy any form of Madden from here on out, is if the cover looks pretty good. And obviously the Saquon Hurdle one from last season looked muy bueno. Alright, so getting into our last topic of the day. We kind of have how the Eagles OTAs went and how mandatory minicamp is going. So mandatory minicamp is going on as we speak right now, that being June 10th. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more footage coming out over the next couple of days of Eagles minicamp. OTAs were very strict. We did not get very many pictures or videos of plays and players. So it seems like the Eagles are being a little bit strict with media. But as of right now, they're able to, a lot of these reporters are able to get into mandatory minicamp. So one of the people that have been so these are all the standouts. There are quite a few names that I've left off this list that I might go over, like an honorable mention at the end here. But let's kind of get into some of these standouts at mandatory minicamp and OTAs. So the first one that I listed here, and to me, one of the bigger offseason moves, that being Tariq Woolen, His play and his size have really been on show during minicamp and OTAs as he's gone against Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts, and he's really challenged the duo to push past him. The Eagles are putting a lot of faith in Tariq Woolen, and ultimately, I think he's going to be the big play guy, whereas not Devontae Smith, Quinyon Mitchell on the other side is going to be the lockdown guy. Like, not too many people are going to get one over on Quinyon Mitchell, whereas Tariq Woolen is going to use his size and his speed to try to make big plays, whether it's making an interception or bat a ball down, force a tight window, and maybe have the ball pop up and have a tip drill. I think Tariq Woolen will be this good complement alongside Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean at the cornerback position. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. has actually been making a lot of waves with a lot of reporters and such during OTAs and especially minicamp, which only has had one day of. We've only had one day of minicamp, but still, there's been a lot of notes that we've gotten off of minicamp. With Jahad Campbell being out with injury for now, obviously he did some surgery to make sure that he would be healthy for the 2026 season. Jeremiah Trotter has been able to play linebacker 2 alongside Zach Bond, and Trot Jr. has made most of his reps seem like he's done a lot of homework on the Eagles' kind of offense. He's been able to predict and help disrupt this offense, force Jalen Hurts to look at a different read, and force Jalen Hurts to throw down the sideline, which is not what this offense kind of caters towards. So Trot seems to be playing himself into a possible battle with Jahad Campbell. Do I see that happening? No, I see Jahad Campbell coming in and dominating at the linebacker position, but don't be surprised if we see Trot Jr. coming in for Jahad or Zach Bond when they're a little bit tired on long defensive drives. Don't be surprised if we see Trot Jr. getting some playing time this upcoming regular season. Hollywood Brown. He continued to display amazing speed and top-notch ball handling skills from OTAs to minicamp yesterday. He's made some of the most acrobatic catches at OTAs and minicamps and some of the best speed at it as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Brown take a lot of the targets from the previous Brown at the wide receiver position, that being A.J. Brown. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Hollywood Brown be the deep ball, go down there and get it guy from here on out, especially with his speed. Obviously, he'll have to battle against Devontae Smith. Well, no, he's not battling against Smitty. He's not battling against Makai Lemon. He'll have to battle against Dontavion Wicks and Elijah Moore for a starting spot. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Brown start a little bit early because I keep wanting to say Devontae. It's Dontavion Wicks has kind of been a little bit quiet over the past couple OTAs and the first day of minicamp. I do hope that he kind of picks it up because he should be a dynamic guy in this Eagles offense and has a chance to get a lot of touches, with Devontae Smith getting a lot of double teams and Makai Lemon getting a lot of looks as well. Dontavion Wicks could have a chance to step up, and Hollywood Brown could also have a chance to take over that role that Dontavion Wicks has and be that wide receiver number 3. Surprisingly, and I wasn't expecting to talk about him too much, tight end Johnny Mundt continues to kind of expand past the purpose that he was brought in for this past offseason. Obviously, he was brought in to be a blocking tight end, which allows Dallas Goedert to still play half and half role, and Eli Stowers, the second-round rookie, to kind of come in and play more of a receiver role for now. But Johnny Mundt has been dangerous in the red zone for Jalen Hurts and Andy Dalton as well, especially over the middle, I've heard, which is really great. Seeing Jalen Hurts just fire over the middle to his tight end and have a guy be an underlying red zone threat in Johnny Mundt. Andy Dalton, he seems to be taking a lot of second team reps over Tanner McKee, but he really hasn't been doing that great of a job. Clearly trying to adjust to the new system and is struggling to do so. I wouldn't be surprised if McKee is staying long term and he's not getting traded to like the Arizona Cardinals or the Cleveland Browns. I would expect McKee to start getting more second teams roles or reps from here on out. And speaking on a guy that actually intercepted Andy Dalton yesterday, that being Jalen Hunt. Hunt has proven that he is going nowhere, honestly, in this Eagles edge rusher rotation. Looking to improve off a strong performance last season, which wouldn't be hard based off of some of the reports that we got at OTAs and minicamp. He's been a force to be reckoned, and he's been a game wrecker himself. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the running mate alongside of the guy that we're about to talk about next. Obviously, Nolan Smith dealing with injury right now. We'll see him probably during minicamp. But as of right now, it's going to be slightly concerning whether Nolan Smith can actually battle back and take over that starting edge rusher spot from Jalen Hunt, because neither of them are beating out the next guy here, Jonathan Greenard. Greenard was one of two of the major defensive acquisitions this past offseason, and his veteran presence has been clear from the first time we saw him on the field at OTAs a few weeks ago. His speed actually surprised me a ton, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Eagles found another another game wrecker on the defensive line this upcoming season. And so having a guy like Jonathan Greenard, then you go to Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Ojomo, and then maybe Jalen Hunt. If that's like your starting defensive line, I don't think that's bad at all. You got a bunch of game wreckers there, a bunch of guys that could probably beat a double team. Like Jalen Carter and Jonathan Greenard, I believe, could beat a double team. Jalen Hunt, I believe, can get to that point. And Jordan Davis, I think, could beat a double team as well, depending on the situation. I think you have a amazing defensive line that we haven't seen since probably 2022, in my opinion, or the Super Bowl in 2024. Saquon Barkley has been another standout as well. He certainly has seen a lot of targets in the passing game during a lot of these reps. Not a whole lot of running reps, but when he's been running outside the numbers, which means that he's doing a lot of stretch plays, which is what he's been wanting to do for the past season. That's been what the offensive line have been wanting to do. So it's been nice to see Mannion bring in that kind of system and have these guys start to buy in immediately. He's been a reliable target for Hurts so far, especially over the middle. I would take the over on Saquon receiving yards this season. And if you have him in fantasy, I think he's going to be a fantasy monster, especially in the receiving game. Could have a Christian McCaffrey 2023 style season, in my opinion. And maybe he could eclipse his famous 2024 season. We'll see, though. Devontae Smith. So Smitty has finally have a chance to return to the wide receiver 1 role that he filled in during his rookie year. Smith has clearly put on significant muscle mass compared to years past, and has picked up some of his speed as well. He's finally getting into his peak form that I always thought he could get into in the NFL, and so he's going to fill in that wide receiver 1 role and show the NFL that he's not really meant to be trifled with. I could see him seriously going for 1,400 to 1,600 receiving yards this regular season, but it's going to have to be more of wait and see how his new role in a wide receiver 1 position kind of affects the routes that he's getting. Jalen Hurts. Hurts has been seen working with Sean Mannion a lot, like one-on-one, especially when the quarterback is under center. I haven't heard or seen a video of Jalen taking snaps at a shotgun, which means we are fully in the Sean Mannion / West Coast style offense that has been touted to be brought under Sean Mannion. There might be growing pains at first, I will say, but I believe that with his versatility, Hurts will be able to nearly master Mannion's style of offense once pads go on during training camp in a month. Don't be shocked if we see Jalen Hurts under center like 75 to 80% of the time during games, and only shotgun being around, Sirianni's old system being around maybe 20 to 15% of the time. Overall, I think that's a great place for the offense to be, having a little bit of both. Sirianni will have a say in what does go in the offense, but this is Sean Mannion's offense moving forward, and I think that some of these offensive pieces will have an amazing season, like Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, and Saquon Barkley. A couple of honorable mentions I want to talk about. Uar Bernard, he's still a far ways away from making any form of meaningful snaps in the NFL, So I think that he'll be interesting to watch over the next couple of seasons, but I think he'll have a Jordan Mailata trajectory kind of a career, whether that is in 2-3 years he actually starts and then he takes the NFL by storm, or he ultimately gets cut and then finds some success somewhere else. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Uar Bernard's name coming up quite a lot in the next couple of years as he starts to refine his craft. Lane Johnson was out there after coming off of an ankle injury this past season. He was out there not working with the team, but he was out there working on some solo drills to get him back into the football rhythm. Same thing with Jalen Carter, just had surgery on both his shoulders. He should be back again. Both these guys should be back for training camp, and we're going to see them both at their best peak physical forms that we could. And that's a great place to be as an Eagles fan, is seeing two of your best players on both sides of the ball being 100% healthy coming into this NFL season. And one last guy I wanted to talk about was Makai Lemon. Makai Lemon has a hamstring injury, and it seems like it's going to be a little bit of a lingering thing until we get to minicamp. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't hear much from Makai Lemon and we don't see a lot of him working with Jalen Hurts until training camp next month. But I did want to mention that he did look good during OTAs. Like, he looked really good, especially with some of his route running. I mean, Christ, his knee was parallel with the ground, which, if you know how insane that is, yeah, I think we found our wide receiver 2 and possible future wide receiver 1, depending on what happens with Devontae moving forward. I think we found our guy for the future, and I think we found a stud at the wide receiver position. Alright, so that's going to be it for this episode. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'm still currently debating whether I do it every other Wednesday from here on out until we get into, deep into the minicamp season. Don't be surprised if you don't see an upload next week, as I will be on vacation, so I will try to have an upload for you guys. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and I just have more material to work with once we get into late June. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Obviously, we're not going to be talking about the A.J. Brown situation unless something major pops up again. We're not going to be talking about Myles Garrett. We're strictly going to be moving forward talking about the Eagles unless any major NFL news pops out, which really doesn't happen once we get to a training camp unless somebody gets injured or something. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, you guys made it this far. So again, I'm going to ask you guys to leave a like and subscribe. Please share this episode and the podcast with everybody that you know. Tell them just give it a listen, just give it a watch, and hopefully give it give the overall channel a subscribe. Comment down below your opinion of how you guys liked me covering some of the topics like A.J. Brown, the Eagles OTAs and minicamps, and whether you guys would want me to do every other moving forward into training camp. So, yep, that's it. And I want to thank you guys for everything. And remember, go Birds.